Pastor Bergolian from the Church of the Risen King is here for the invocations.
Let us pray. O most great and mighty God, whose glory is above all our thoughts and whose mercy is above all our works, how perfect are your deeds, how dependable are your words. We come to you today with thankful and grateful hearts. We thank you that you are the creator and sustainer of life, and without you, life ceases to have purpose. We bless your name for giving us Liam Morley, Nate Galgano, Nick O'Brien, Arnav Kalikar, and Brian Akemian. We thank you for giving them all the talents and abilities to attain the rank of Eagle Scout. We also thank you today for all the time and efforts that were sacrificed by their families and friends so that they can be where they are today. Use these young men, O gracious God, and continue enlarging their capacity to care so they may see you in all whom they meet. Grant them to know what is worth knowing, to love what is worth loving, to value what is precious in your sight. Fill them with constant desire to search for truth, that they may transform themselves and in turn the world they live in. Fill them with your love, that they may express their creativity through their living, their love, the work of their hands and minds. We humbly offer you these prayers of thanks through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Would Robert Brown, Scoutmaster of Troop 54, come forward to take his place as the Master of Ceremonies this afternoon?
Thank you, Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, Scouts and Scouters, we are gathered here this afternoon to confer the rank of Eagle upon Nicholas Galgano, Brian Akemian, Arnav Kalikar, Liam Morley, and Nick O'Brien of Troop 54 of the Ramapo Valley District, Northern New Jersey Council, Boy Scouts of America. In Baden-Powell's original idea of the scouting program, there was a little point in teaching the techniques of scouting to young scouts unless at the same time the program developed in them the qualities that make them self-reliant, worthy of trust, tough of body and mind, and indomitable of spirit, scouts able to be on their own and to be trusted on their own. That's still a fine thought today, but we must always keep in mind that scouting is fun and for kids. After all, these are scouts on their way to adulthood. That's what scouting is all about. We constantly improve the scouting program, keeping it up to date and making Baden-Powell's ideas happen. It starts with Cub Scouts, going places and making things, and then becoming scouts. Then it gets the scout out in the open, lets them get some wood smoke in their eyes and some thoughts about self-reliance in their head. To keep scouts from stopping there, Scouts have set a progressively tougher challenges to get them to do something by working in the advancement program. It will take them from the Bobcat pin the first day in Cub Scouts right up to the Eagle badge. When we find young scouts who we feel have displayed the potential which Lord Baden-Powell expressed, we think we should recognize and encourage them. Such recognition, the awarding of the Eagle Badge, takes its place in a series of important events in the life of today's youth. We in Scouting feel it ranks at the very top. Realize, if you will, that this is the highest and most coveted award in all of Scouting. Less than 5% of all Scouts in the United States ever reach this rank. Before we go on, I would like to recognize all Eagle Scouts who are present here this afternoon. If you would please come forward and line up in the front. You know we have a couple out there. start the American flag. Herb, if you would start. Introduce yourselves, please, and tell us the year you attained the rank of Eagle.
Herb Gobert, 1983.
Jack Krause, 2022.
William Dooley, 2021.
Jack McWilliams, 2021.
Ryan Christensen, 2021.
Tim Conlon, 2021.
Red Medler, 2021. I thought somewhere around 1997.
Ray Ash, 1997.
Greg Viciano, 1981.
Mark Kupferberg, 1971.
Steve Newton, 1982.
Thank you, gentlemen. Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout. You never lose that. The National Council of the Boy Scouts of America requires that each applicant for the rank of Eagle must earn and receive 21 merit badges, some which take months to complete. While holding the rank of Life Scout, the Scout must also hold a leadership position and serve actively, continuously, and in good standing in the troop for a period of 6 months prior to the application for the rank of Eagle. You guys need me to repeat that again? That's what we keep telling them all the time. In addition, the candidate must complete a service project helpful to his church, community, or school and approved by the Scoutmaster and the District Advancement Chairperson. Upon completion of these requirements, the candidate must meet with the Scoutmaster for a personal conference. Depending on the findings of the Scoutmaster, the candidate can be recommended to the Scout. The candidate can be recommended the Scout for the elevation of the rank of Eagle. The troop forwards this recommendation to Northern New Jersey Council for review, and then to the Ramapo Valley District Eagle Scout Board of Review, consisting of 3 leaders in the community. At this time, we would like to introduce our court members of the court this afternoon will be Katie Devitt, Ann Brodsky, and Seth Halpert. We will hear from them in a few minutes. The candidate receives an invitation to meet with these people for an interview. They then pass their recommendation on to the National Council Board of Review for final approval. If the Scout successfully completes all these steps before turning 18 and the board concurs, the Eagle Charge is administered and the candidate is elevated to the rank of Eagle Scout. So be it this afternoon. Would the chairman of the court, Dave Stewart, please come forward?
On behalf of Troop 54, Hohokus, New Jersey, Northern New Jersey Council, I now declare this Eagle Court of Honor in session. Would the escorts please present the parents of the candidate to the chancel? Tim Conlon, one of our Eagles from last year, will escort Paul and Courtney Delgado. Luke Hakimian will escort his parents, Brian and Suzanne Hakimian. Zachary Karleski will escort the parents for Ashish and Valashar Kamakar. Max Depish will escort Dennis and Kathleen Morley. Teddy O'Brien will escort his parents, Mike and Julie O'Brien. It's a real pleasure having you all here to join us for the awarding of the Eagle ceremony. Escorts, please bring the candidates front and center to be presented to the court and its witnesses.
Nice job.
I have the pleasure of presenting Nicholas Galgano, Brian Hakimian, Arnold Kalikar, Liam Morley, and Nicholas O'Brien, who have completed the requirements for Eagle Scout and await this honor this afternoon.
Okay, please be seated. You're not standing. Oh, good deal, but not right now. Now to tell us a little bit more about each of our candidates for Eagle, we'll have someone talk for each person. The first is Alexandra Galgano, who is Nick's sister. She'll be telling us a little bit more about Nick.
I would first like to say, on behalf of the family, how incredibly proud we are of Nick for everything he's accomplished for the Eagle Scout, everything he's accomplished for his award, everything he's done for getting into college, and he can finally breathe easy this summer after all the Eagle Scout, after all the college applications, and just take it easy, finally. Nick grew up in Hohokus. He's lived here all his life, and he was a part of the Cub Scouts, I believe, since 2011, he said. And I have many memories of the Pinewood Derby. He was so determined to win that thing, and, countless hours, like building the car. Of course, he couldn't make it just a car. He had to make it a train, because that was his favorite vehicle. He was standing apart from the pack like that. And, you can see the train outside by his poster board. I'm sure he has very fond memories of the Pinewood Derby. But yeah, he's a kid that when there's something he wants, he just puts his all into it. And he doesn't hold back at anything. He exemplifies all the amazing traits of the Boy Scouts. He loves the outdoors. He always went on, most of the retreats, all of the campsites, and he would come back with the best stories. And he even wrote his college application about the Boy Scouts. So as much as the impact that he's had on the Boy Scouts, it has also, made him into the person that he is today. When he went to Philmont for the summer, we all missed him a lot. Some of us more than others, but when he came back at the end of the summer, he had so many amazing stories that some of them will stay unsaid, but some of them, he told us all about how they were at the campsite. He brought back like a sword even from, I believe when he went to San Francisco, he had lots of little collectibles, and he looks back on that with very fond memories. Nicholas also, in addition, is a very handy guy. And that's something that he gets from our dad, definitely, that, he helps him with he uses his skills to clean up after himself and leave things better than what they were. In addition to, obvious Boy Scout things like camping and hiking like that, Nicholas is just an incredibly caring and kind person. And, he has a really tangible impact on all of our lives. One thing that, during the pandemic, I was helping a lot with the grandparents. They really couldn't get outside to do grocery shopping and things like that. So when I went off to college, it was always a question up in the air of, what's going to happen. But Nick really stepped up to the plate, and he really, I know my grandparents appreciated that he helps them with the groceries, drives to the hair salon and things, helps with the iPad and tech time, and, he really just has such an impact on their lives and on all of our lives that, he is very deserving of all of the honors of being an Eagle Scout. Nick is an incredibly hardworking kid, and I saw this firsthand when I was the marching band section leader for the drum line when he joined it, and he was a freshman. He really had a passion for marching band that not a lot of the other kids had. And you're in the hot sun, like you're carrying a 30-pound drum, you have to march and play and think about a million things at once. And he really stepped up to the challenge, and he hardly ever complained. And it was a pretty daunting experience because you're in the hot sun for, just about 9 hours for band camp. And, they're working you to the bone then, but he just took it like a champ. And throughout the season, you wouldn't believe the kid that ended up at Nationals was the kid that walked in that first day. Because he got the most improved, and he really, really, stepped up, and he was so on it, everything. And that just shows his passion for things, that he just goes at it. He doesn't leave any room for hesitation, and he just has a one-track mind like that, for better or for worse. But he's just like that. When we, he ended up in a position at the middle school musical of being a turtle on the stage, crawling around on a skateboard with a huge shell on his back, and he was the best turtle you would ever see. You wouldn't believe that wasn't an actual sea creature on the stage, because he was selling every single moment of that. And that just shows, even something as strange as that, he really wanted to go for it, and he delivered. I couldn't believe it, and we all love to see it. And so that continues for his Eagle Scout project. I think I speak for a lot of people when we say we don't really understand all of the work that goes into it until you see your scout doing that. Because at first I thought it was like, oh, you just make a new path and then they hand you your Eagle Scout award. But I had no idea how much work behind the scenes it was for the family, which, our parents definitely helped out with, and just how much the scout has to do to earn it. So I think when he did his project for Rebuilding Together, which is something that he also got from our dad who works there, reorganizing the kitchen and everything else that he did, he really stepped up and he made an amazing change in that. So we're all very proud of Nicholas for everything that he's done. And, I have no worries for him that wherever he goes in the world, he'll find a place for himself. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexandra. And now, to tell us a bit more about Brian Kemian is his sister, Emma.
Good afternoon, everyone. There are important, Please hold. I've always been impressed by Brian's commitment to scouting throughout the years. I'm hesitant to admit it, but today, when it comes to the competition of long-time commitment to an activity, my brother Brian has actually won the contest and beat my 10 years of competitive swimming. Congratulations, Brian. Enjoy the temporary victory. Brian's involvement with Scouts has had an incredible influence on his life and how he has grown over the years. The Boy Scouts not only gave him the skills of being an outdoorsman, where he's very comfortable, but more importantly, helped to instill other human qualities that are important during our pathway of life. I've read that a Scout is supposed to follow the qualities listed in the Scout Oath and Scout Law. And while there are many qualities my brother embodies, if anyone has ever seen his room, we would agree that clean is not at the top of his list. There are other important elements that Brian has shown through his character, but today I will focus on one: a Scout is loyal. It is not always easy to be loyal. In fact, the easy road is often the opposite. Earlier this year, a fellow classmate and good friend of Brian was being treated unfairly and isolated by a group of students. Like many situations, things snowballed until it negatively impacted her everyday life. Brian, close friends with the core group that was the cause of this bullying and isolation, tried to defuse the situation. When he realized there was no goodwill on the party of the larger group, he ultimately chose to stand by his friend, cutting ties with the larger social group. This seems like a common teenage story, but my brother's decisions and show of loyalty really struck me. Most people our age don't make this decision. It would have been much better for Brian to simply not get involved or remain neutral like so many others. He switched schools during his sophomore year of high school and had to go through the challenging task of creating new friendships. When he saw his friend unfairly and cruelly treated, he let those go and stood by his friend. He even attended prom with her to make sure she was included in all of the festivities and not isolated on such an important senior year memory. When I asked him about the situation, Brian simply explained that when he transferred schools, she was one of the only people that befriended him early on and was always genuine. Brian is loyal, and his natural instinct is to help others, even when it's the hardest thing to do. I would like to congratulate all of the Scouts behind me that have achieved their Eagle Scout rank today. Nick, Arnold, Liam, Nick O'Brien, and my brother Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. And now to tell us a bit more about Arnav is his dad, Ashish.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Our journey with Scouting began in 2013 when our family moved to Hokas. After meeting the troop for the first time, he instantly realized that Scouting was for him. Throughout his Scouting journey, Arnav has made me extremely proud in his tenacity, creativity, and determination. To be quite frank, no ordinary individual would endure the outdoors living that Arnav and his fellow troop members endured at Floodwood or Philmont. And I have pictures for those. But Arnav is not an ordinary individual, just like his fellow Eagles that we have here. In addition to his camping and outdoor skills, Arnav is an accomplished individual in academics and extracurricular activities. He has received a National Gold Medal and other prestigious awards from the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition, commendation from the Governor of New Jersey for his writing, and just recently won the Andrew Dunn English Excellence Award at his high school. As an officer of DECA, his high school's business club, he has attended the prestigious international level of competition 3 times, and even placed top 20 internationally for his event. He plays several instruments like drums and guitar, and was a member of his school's jazz band, and even started a few garage bands on his own. Some of them work, some of them didn't. But above all, Arnav exhibits one of the most important qualities of true Boy Scout, a sense of duty to his community. For his Eagle Scout project, Arnav repainted no parking zones and fire hydrants road markings across all Hokas. Apart from refurbishing no parking zones, the project helped highlight fire hydrants, which helped save valuable time for firefighters in emergencies. In order to get his project approved, Arnav had to put together a presentation for the mayor and the town council, and he also coordinated with DPW during the course of the project. Furthermore, he presented his project to his school, and the school agreed to award credits to volunteers who came to assist Arnav in his project. Next year, Arnav will be attending Purdue University, where he will be pursuing a major in Purdue's prestigious engineering program. We couldn't be more proud of him, and we are so excited to see what he will do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish. And now to tell us a bit more about Liam is his dad, Dennis.
Before I start addressing Liam, I just want to take a minute to thank Dr. Brown, Mr. Sturr for their tireless dedication to scouting, Troop 54, and for all that they've done for Liam and all of the Eagles candidates. For without your leadership, none of this would be possible. So thank you very much. So Liam joined Troop 54 in October of 2016 after moving back to Massachusetts. And his first event was the 10-mile hike up the Hudson from Fort Lee to Camp Alpine. If he had his choice, he would have quit about 3 times that hike, but he stuck it out and never looked back since then. During his time in Troop 54, he spent summers at Terrell working on advancement in basic camp skills. He joined weekend campouts, braving the cold in Washington's Crossing and whitewater rafting in Pennsylvania. From there, he spent summers in Floodwood, where he continued to hone his camping skills and love the outdoors. It was at Floodwood where he embarked on memorable canoe trips and gained a sense of independence. And it was on his first canoe trip where he perfected the Neapolitan tan to the point where he ended up with second-degree burns. There were more overnights with the troop and a trip to Maine where his love of scouting continued to grow. All of this leading up to his memorable trip to Philmont across the western United States. Unfortunately, the trip was postponed for a year, but Liam and his fellow scouts were able to experience backpacking in Philmont and exploring the national parks out west. During his extended stay in California due to a little fender bender, Liam cultivated his taste for In-N-Out Burger and experienced college dorm living for the first time. It was then that he experienced the thrills of the challenging Cannonball Run speed record as Dave raced across the country back to Hohokus. High school and COVID limited some of the trips, but Liam remained dedicated and found time to join Zoom meetings and serve as senior patrol leader. Liam recently completed a successful high school experience where he excelled in the classroom and devoted himself to the Don Bosco crew team. Liam served as coxswain for 1 year and rowed competitively for 3 years. Yet somehow he never managed to earn the rowing merit badge. Last year, Liam's scouting experience culminated in his Eagle Project. His project involved organizing the Hohokus Co-op Nursery School, building shelving and storage units for the school. Taking on this project taught Liam valuable lessons in organization, delegating responsibilities, perseverance, and most importantly, measure twice, tough once. In conclusion, I stand here extremely proud of all Liam has accomplished in scouting and can attest to his hard work and dedication in achieving the rank of Eagle Scout.
Thanks, Dennis. I might add that I took Dennis out to Philmont in
40 years.
What was it?
83.
83, that's right, yeah. John, the year that he was on Troop 59, it was the year that John Seaback, the scoutmaster up there, was unable to go, and so I went with all you wonderful guys. All right, and finally, we've got another Eagle Scout talking about his brother. Anthony O'Brien is going to tell us a bit more about Nick.
When Nikki was born, I was about 6 years old, and I remember going to the hospital to see him for the first time and wondering who exactly this little blob of a person would become. I wondered what his voice would sound like, whether he would be funny or smart. He was, and whether in the lives of all who know and love him. As an older brother, I've been able to witness Nikki grow and change while still remaining true to who he is as a person. It's not easy being the youngest of 5 children and having a 6-year age gap between Nikki and the next closest sibling, me. meant that Nikki had a very different childhood than the rest of us. But Nikki took advantage of this difference, always asking for advice, always learning from our triumphs and our many mistakes, always trying to become the best person that he could be. From a young age, Nikki was wise beyond his years. He took part in deep conversations about life and relationships and identity and more. Nick is a dreamer, always seeing the best in people and always believing that the best is possible, while taking active steps to make that a reality. His inquisitive mind is one of the things I love and value most about him. According to the Scout Law, a Scout is trustworthy and loyal, and even with an age gap of 6 years between us, Nikki has quickly become a sibling that I can turn to with anything. Nikki enters important conversations from a perspective of non-judgment and empathy, even for those with vastly different life experiences. Nikki is a remarkable friend to everyone. He makes friendships easily and with many people, but he also sticks around. He is dependable when it counts, and I have depended on him for advice and support through multiple challenges in my own life. His kindness shines through his actions, and he turns that thoughtfulness into action in creative ways for the people he loves. Nick, you are one of my very best friends, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Nikki has also demonstrated extraordinary bravery in the time I have known him. He is uniquely himself, and he stands up for what he believes in. Nikki is a trailblazer and a trendsetter and a leader, while also being incredibly supportive when others seek to take on those same roles. Even in the chaos and stress that is high school, he has chosen to pursue his passions. His talent and passion for music has become legendary in his school and social communities, and Nikki has been entrusted with important tasks, such as organizing coffee houses and leading the school band. He made sure that these important community events continued throughout COVID and beyond. He has created so many moments of beauty within his different communities, and his impact and legacy will extend long after he leaves for college next year. Nick, I hope you feel an enormous sense of pride right now. You did it. You survived deep freezes and Klondike derbies and selling popcorn even though everyone always likes Girl Scout cookies better. You survived Philmont and Memorial Day parades and Eagle Scout projects and so much more, and you have thrived throughout all of it. You have grown into a responsible and resilient young person, ready to take on the world and all it has to offer. I hope you always remember and know how incredibly loved you are and how much incredible love you have to give the world. I love you, Nikki. I'm rooting for you, and I'm so, so proud of you.
Thanks, Eddie. In order that we may understand the completeness of the review of the applicant, I'll now ask the distinguished members of the court to explain the qualifications essential to becoming an Eagle Scout. The first area of consideration is that of Scoutcraft, explained by Katie Devitt, a member of the troop committee and mother of Drew, who hopefully will be right up here a year from this weekend.
The first consideration in the review of an applicant for Eagle is the field of Scoutcraft, the skills of scouting designed to instill confidence in the individual scout, to make him self-reliant, and to bring him a realization that through this knowledge he can both be and should be of greater service to others. The merit adult counselor and discuss the various requirements.
And now, Ann Brodsky, member of the troop committee and mother of an eagle who will be up here hopefully in a couple of years after Drew, will tell us a little bit about Scout teamwork.
Another important consideration for the Eagle